All righty. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us at HCDD with our 2020 virtual fall community meetings. My name is Chris Robinson. I do work with the department. I'm a senior planner here. And again, just thank you so much for joining us. And right now, I'm going to turn things over to our director, Tom McCaslin, and he's going to give you a few words.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm so delighted for the opportunity to come together to talk about incredibly important work using federal HUD dollars for affordable homes and the services as well as the infrastructure necessary in the communities around the city of Houston. I think back in March, I don't know that many of us imagined we would still be telecommuting, social distancing, and having virtual public meetings. I appreciate the patience of the community as we have learned through this process. And as you'll see tonight, we're trying to take it one step further with having virtual meetings that reintroduces our roundtable discussions where we'll be talking about very specific budgets and seeking your input on how to structure the budgets. Let me just say very briefly how important it is for us to hear from the families who need the assistance for an affordable home. One of our commitments is to put that voice first in all of the work that we do. And so while this is not the only opportunity throughout the year to have the voice heard, it is an important one, and it's one of the HUD required opportunities for engaging with the public. One of the things that we have committed to, and Texas Organizing Project was the agency that I believe first framed the notions of the right to choose, the right to stay in a community, the right to choose to move to another community, the right to stay within a particular community, as well as the right to have a voice in decisions that impact you. But particularly, I want to focus on the right to stay and the right to choose. If there are no opportunities for a community that's rapidly gentrifying for families to stay there, that right is stripped away. And in a right manner, if there are not opportunities and affordable homes in places where someone may want to choose to move to, that right is stripped away. And so as we have been working on designing programs here with your input, one of our guiding principles is putting the power of the decision back into the hands of the households for whom it is going to make the biggest difference. And I want to flag that one of our most recent developments is a pilot program with the Houston Community Land Trust, where rather than only having particular homes that can be sold and move into the trust, we have opened it up to the entire city. $3 million in the pilot program. We're hoping that many more $1 million will be attributed to this later. But putting the decision in the hand of the home buyer who's going to make the $75,000, $80,000 purchase of a home on which community they move to, which home they want to look at, subject to making sure that home is a quality home and, of course, the home is properly underwritten. As you move through the night with us, as you make your public comments, and as you sit around round tables with us in the breakout sessions, please think through that and give us feedback on how we can empower the families that we are serving to take even more of that power into their own hands, because we do believe that long term, that is how we're going to solve the issues of affordable housing in the city, and that's how we're going to achieve our vision of becoming a city where everyone has a home they can afford in a community where they can thrive. Thank you for joining. I'll be listening in as long as I can, and then we'll be going into this breakout sessions. But I greatly appreciate you being here tonight and adding your voice to the conversation. Chris, back to you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you again to everyone for joining, and I'm glad that Tom was able to join us tonight and kind of talk about where we want to go as a department. So after going through our welcome address with Tom, now we're going to go through a short presentation in just a few minutes, and we will cover some of our past accomplishments, our 2021 annual action plan, and some program highlights. And then we'll do a public comment where we will hear from you all as residents about your input for the 2021 annual action plan. After that, we'll do some breakout groups. Hopefully we'll get to do our activity tonight. And then we'll report out from those groups, and then we'll hear some final remarks. So for tonight, here are some of our speakers that you'll be listening to. We have Kimmy Johnson, who's going to be doing a brief overview of the department and also cover a little bit more in depth about, what our programs are, our formula grants actually, and what we're here to do tonight. Mary Itz will give you even more information about our past accomplishments and what we're planning to do for the future. And then Derek Sellers will be our master of ceremonies for the public hearing portion. So thanks again, guys. And now I'm going to turn things over to Kimmy for our overview.
Good afternoon, everyone. Apologies for the delay. I'm Kimmy Johnson, and I work for the Housing and Community Development Department as a senior planner. So our vision at HCDD is to empower every resident to live in an affordable home in a community where they can thrive. And we do so by providing affordable homes and infrastructure and neighborhood services, community economic development, and supportive services. In order to achieve that vision at HCDD, we use approximately $50 million each year in federal entitlement grants from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which we also refer to as HUD. So first, these annual grant amounts are based on a specified formula that is determined by HUD, and that considers various demographics, housing, and market characteristics of Houston. So the first grant, the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, is our largest and most flexible entitlement grant that we receive. It provides housing, public services, public facilities, and economic development activities. The next grant, which is the HOME grant, it's the Home Investment Partnership Program, or referred to as HOME. It expands the stock of affordable housing opportunities for renters and for homeowners. Next, the housing opportunities for persons with HIV/AIDS or HOPWA. This funds housing and social services that support the persons with HIV/AIDS and their families. And finally, we have the Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG, and that supports housing and sheltering for individuals who experience homelessness or are at risk for becoming homeless. So next, we're going to talk about why this public hearing is so important and why we're here today. So as we mentioned earlier, this annual action plan, it basically sets the strategies for addressing Houston's housing and community needs. It outlines the goals and objectives for allocating the $50 million anticipated dollars from the HUD formula grant. So what we're going to discuss today, this evening, it will eventually shape how we operate in the future. And just as a reminder, we have developed a new toolkit for the 2021 annual action plan, and it includes much of what we'll cover tonight in this presentation. And you can download a copy on the HCDD website. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Mary to review some of our past accomplishments and where we're headed. Mary?
Thanks, Kimmy. My name is Mary Itz, and I work at the Housing and Community Development Department. In September, we submitted our annual report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the fifth and final year of our 2015-2019 consolidated planning period. The next few slides will highlight some of the accomplishments from the past 5 years. We repaired over 400 single-family homes for low and moderate income families using CDBG funding. We have provided 230 low and moderate income families with down payment assistance or closing cost assistance to help them purchase a home. We also funded or completed construction or rehabilitation of over 2,700 multifamily affordable rental homes. We have assisted thousands of families to prevent homelessness and help them stay in their homes with rental assistance. We have supported the creation of the Houston Community Land Trust in 2018, which promotes affordable home ownership for families throughout Houston. They have sold 64 homes and have even more available to purchase currently. We have also provided funding to the Houston Land Bank to build more affordable single-family homes throughout Houston. In the past 5 years, 35 public facilities projects were completed using formula grants. Some of these projects include the Houston Furniture Bank, several Spark Parks, Chinese Community Center facility, and also a facility for SARE Jobs for Progress. HCDD funded services for over 100,000 low and moderate income people over the past 5 years. We funded local nonprofit organizations to assist residents with services including job training, childcare, and youth enrichment. Our staff connected with close to 6,000 people with Section 3 information to connect qualifying residents and businesses to businesses looking to hire. Also, over the past 5 years, we have expanded our outreach about fair housing. We created 3 different fair housing public information campaigns that are available to download on our website. We presented fair housing information, and these campaigns and information reached millions of residents. We have also partnered with local organizations and even residents who are interested in fair housing to engage with their own communities about issues or information related to housing choice and illegal housing discrimination. The 2021 Annual Action Plan will be the second annual action plan of the 2020-2024 Consolidated Plan period. This year's plan is an annual update to the 5-year Consolidated Plan. This is not only a blueprint of this year's activities, but it also serves as the grant application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the 4-year entitlement grants that Kimmy discussed earlier. In the annual action plan, HCDD lists our budgets, activities, annual numeric goals that we expect to accomplish during the year. Currently, we're gathering information to develop the plan, and we'll hold additional meetings in the spring after the draft plan is published for public comment. We're beginning this months-long process by holding community meetings tonight and yesterday to hear from you before we develop the draft 2020-2021 Annual Action Plan. After we receive feedback from these meetings, staff will develop the draft Annual Action Plan, which will be available for public comment in March for a 30-day comment period. In March or April, we will host a few more community meetings like this to receive input about the draft plan. Finally, we will finalize the plan, request City Council approval, and then submit the plan in May to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The 2021 year will begin in July of 2021, and we usually receive the funding for the year directly after July. Now I'm going to go through the next few slides will show a couple of the activities that HCDD has recently funded. So currently under construction, the Green Oaks Apartments will be a new multifamily rental home development with 177 rental homes, of which 33 of those will be income restricted for low and moderate income families by the City of Houston. The estimated completion date is September of 2021. They will have on-site supportive services such as computer training and job training. Next, Dale Carnegie, developed by New Hope Housing, is a new apartment development with 170 fully furnished studio apartments and is located in Sharpstown. The location is walking distance to a bus stop, Baker Ripley Neighborhood Center, very close to a grocery store, the public library, and the Memorial Houston Southwest Medical Center. Another project we're working on is Campanile on Commerce. This is a new senior living multifamily rental development. It will have 120 rental homes, with 21 of those being City of Houston income restricted. It's expected to be completed next month or soon thereafter. It will have on-site supportive services like health screening and education classes, credit counseling, and also transportation services. HCDD continues to work on creating new homeownership opportunities for low and moderate income Houstonians. We provide down payment and closing cost assistance to income eligible residents to purchase a home through the Harvey Homebuyer Assistance Program. We create additional housing opportunities for Houstonians by constructing new single-family homes that are affordable to low and moderate income families in several neighborhoods throughout Houston. We also partner with the Houston Community Land Trust on, as Tom described, on new programs such as the Homebuyer Choice Program. Pictured here is Town Park Village. It's a master plan community located in East Little York Homestead area that will include 173 single-family homes. 83 of those will be available to low and moderate income families. This development is a collected effort between HCDD, the Houston Land Bank, and also Houston Public Works. The Home Repair Program assists low and moderate income homeowners to make repairs. Home repairs can be small, or if needed, homes may be reconstructed to ensure the homeowner's safety. To find out more information about qualifications for this program, including checking if your home is in a floodway or to check the current income limits, please go online. It will also have some application information. And if you can't go online, you can also call our call center at any time. Tilo Market is a new grocery store in the 5th Ward. It was funded with CDBG and economic development funds. Construction is nearly complete. The store will bring fresh food and produce and an on-site tortilla factory to residents, along with 71 new jobs. Our public facility team supports economic development like Tilo Market to bring community amenities to areas that may not have them. HCDD also provides financial service support to nonprofits who deliver essential services to Houstonians. These services include healthcare, childcare, job training, legal services, rental assistance, and more. We also provide funding to support services that prevent homelessness and provide housing services to persons impacted by HIV/AIDS and their families. Listed on this slide are a few of the nonprofit organizations and other city departments that we partner with to provide these important public services. Next, our Section 3 program helps provide economic opportunity to low and very low income residents and local businesses by fostering partnerships. Staff has started hosting virtual technical assistance trainings to provide guidance to contractors and project managers. Section 3 staff has created a map to enhance opportunities for Section 3 businesses and residents with the click of a button. Now, live on our website, developers, contractors, and vendors can identify Section 3 businesses and residents in proximity to a project to instantly gain details about the businesses and residents to help facilitate additional employment opportunities. We're always looking for new ways to hear directly from community members like you. We are working with Harris County to promote this regional housing survey called My Home is Here. The information collected will be used to assist staff from the City of Houston and also with Harris County to plan for future housing programming and initiatives. It's a great survey. We encourage you to go online. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. So now this evening, we want to hear from you. First, we'll have a public comment session, which will be followed by small group discussions for those on the phone or linked through Adobe Connect. As we are in the process of developing our next annual plan, we would like to hear about priorities that are most important to you and your community. Like, how can we enhance our programs? What will help your community? What kind of services does your family need? Before we break out to discuss your community priorities, please let me introduce Derek Sellers, who will lead us through the public hearing session.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Derek Sellers. I am a Deputy Director in the Housing Community Development Department. Currently, we're moving into the public hearing portion of the agenda. This is your opportunity to provide comments to us, and we definitely want to hear from you. If you want to make a public comment, please join us online through Adobe Connect. We have the URL on the screen right now. It's bit.ly/2020FPH. That's currently, if you're online, that's what we're on. Or we have the phone numbers on the screen as well. For English, call 936-755-1521. Or for Spanish, call that same number. And then we have the ID numbers sitting there. So normally in this process of the public hearing, we're going to try to stick to those rules as much as possible. Just some ground rules that everybody should be aware of. Each speaker is going to be given 3 minutes to provide their testimony. Calls will be heard in the order that they are received, and you're not allowed to yield time to another person. We're here to hear from everyone, so we don't need to yield time. They can get in the queue as well if you have someone else that needs to speak or wants to speak for their own 3-minute comment. We want you to be mindful that the testimony is recorded and transcribed. This is not meant to be a Q&A session. We will document questions that come about and find a means to try to get back to you with some responses. But this is a public testimony portion, not a Q&A session. Summaries of these responses will be included in our final action plan submission to HUD, so that we can show HUD what your thoughts were and what we consider as part of developing our action plan and the budgets that come along with it. For the process itself, I will call out your name. Your 3 minutes will begin. We will have prompts on the screen to let you know as that 3 minutes counts down. You'll see a 3, a 2, a 1, kind of like a 30-second prompt, so that you kind of know where and when to start wrapping up. Currently, we don't have anybody signed up, but I still want to give that opportunity to people to get into the queue now. So there are 2 ways to do it. One is through this Q&A box down in the corner of the screen. So if you'll pop your name in there, we'll recognize that as someone that wants to speak or provide a comment. The other one is by raising your hand. So at the top of the screen, you see this little person that has a hand raised, and there's a little drop-down menu associated with it. And that drop-down menu, I think the very first item is raise your hand. So those are the 2 means for us to know that you want to submit a comment or provide your comment this evening. So we'll give it a little bit and see if anybody wants to raise their hand or put their name in the Q&A and go from there.
So right now we have in the queue Nakia Stems. So Nakia, if you're on the line, feel free to move forward.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Hi. Yes, so I grew up in City Gas and Cashmere Gardens, 5th Ward, and my mom actually participated with me pushing her towards getting help with the city program. Just fast forward on a public housing wait list, and the intersectionality of all of these programs, and I believe if more people would live the experience, we're given opportunities not to just participate via surveys, but when you all post for fellowships that are often only seen by a select few of LinkedIn friends, if those opportunities were presented in our communities, the communities serve the communities with desperate impact where they're actually paid opportunities, the economics would pour back into communities and truly benefit the programs that you all provide. So, for example, Derek, just briefly looking at your LinkedIn, when you finished getting your political science bachelor's, I was finishing UT Law. Unlike a lot of the people at UT Law, Prescott Bush, I would come home to City Gas and see my mom's dilapidated house and deal with all of the other mental health taxes on a young person being responsible for my family, and not the reverse as other college students may have experienced. Once my mom got her house fixed, fast forward, public housing wait list, waiting my turn, as happens to many people on that list. Sometimes some of the diversion programs that the city, as well as some of the other entities that are supposed to help with homelessness prevention, some people are pushed up in that line. And often some of the assessment tools that we assess the homeless on, like the VisStat as well as the Vulnerability Index, they have a bias. And usually that bias impacts African Americans. It impacts minorities who end up not having the opportunities to build the houses. I know that Tom spoke at TSU, which I think is an awesome thing, having the conversation in different communities, but there was a great question asked. If there's a HUD $3 million amount of money that is supposed to serve a specific community, then we would like to have data knowing how you all reached out, what intentionality was used to have fellows, to have people from that community, not just working and maybe with a telemarket from SIP board, but with economic opportunity where they would be able to be homeowners, pass generational wealth, and not continue the cycle of generational poverty. So I look forward to looking at the robust data as well as being a part of the conversation, seeing people from my community paid for their time and their talent and to be used and maximized in those type of ways. Also, a lot of those job programs, for those of you that have not been through the many workforce solutions, the many nonprofits, often they do not provide case-by-case assistance. Just like me, having a law degree, having all of these different certificates and things, I've gone to all of them, been disappointed at how they're often not prepared to meet people where they are at and truly create self-sufficiency. Instead, they are getting grants, getting funds, and the same thing is being done over and over again. So I thank you all for your time, and I hope that we truly will be able to see the numbers, the analytics, when fellows are selected for our communities, that they are met and they're recruited in a way so that they will have economic opportunity and so that there will be the infrastructure, the sustainability, the buy-in, and true community engagement. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much for your comment. I appreciate that, and we'll be looking into that. That's one of the upsides of having these transcripts of these meetings is that it allows us to go back and really dig into what you're saying and seeing where we may need to adjust to respond. So I really appreciate it.
But before we go, two things. I know we're doing some of this through Facebook Live and HTV, and so when we go into these breakout groups, we'll be signing off on those platforms. You can feel free to join us online by email, voicemail, or through the mail for additional comments to be provided after this session. So, feel free to go to our website, HoustonTX.gov/housing, and you'll find all those means to provide us that feedback. And we look forward to hearing from you. Maybe something comes to mind after this evening is over, or in discussions with your family or friends, or based on what you see on our website about what programs and projects we fund and what we do. And so feel free to give it a look at our website and provide us that feedback.